This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of the Greater Chattanooga region. My name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host. The Good Neighbor Podcast desires to bring an awareness to the residents living in our communities regarding the locally owned and or operated businesses in the same areas, whether it's in your neighborhood or across town or all the way across the region to Chattanooga. We just want to bring awareness to all of our local communities and local businesses there that are needing our support. In this day of corporate giants, sometimes we forget these local businesses are in our communities and they need us. They need our help. They need our support, for us to use their services. And every local business has a story to tell. And on the Good Neighbor Podcast, we just want to help them shout it loud and proud so that we'll all know they're out there and we'll know what they offer to us. And today we have one of our good neighbors. Her name is Dawniel King, and she is at a gym called The Flow. It's a combination of the Grit House and The Flow, but it's two separate buildings. And she's going to talk to us today about The Flow. And Dawniel, we are just so glad to have you with us on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. I interviewed her husband. All the y'all that maybe haven't seen it, it's called the Grit House with Nathan King, and I interviewed him. And Dawniel was supposed to be with us that day, and something came up and she couldn't. And I told her, I said, I think it worked out perfectly because Nathan's the hardcore, get in there, gym bro, get in there, work hard in the gym, and he mentioned The Flow. And of course, Dawniel comes from that same background, as she'll tell us a little bit, bodybuilder and all. But The Flow has a little bit different audience, a little bit different clientele, somewhat, and a little bit different offerings, if I could put it that way. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Is we're going to talk about The Flow, and we're going to talk about Dawniel's journey and her life and kind of what's been going on with her, and a lot of exciting things going on in Dawniel's life, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. So Dawniel, before we jump into talking about The Flow, would you like to share anything with us about yourself and your family?
Well, yes, I have been married to Nathan. We've been together August 5th will be 24 years that we've been married. Oh, wow. So, and then we've been together almost 25. So that really sounds old when I say that out loud, 25 years. So we are both originally from Ohio and came down here for Lee. And I have two boys. One just graduated from Walker Valley, Ethan King. He was an exceptional runner over there, and then he got a scholarship to Lee for academics and their track team. So he's going to be running for Lee this fall. And then my youngest one is Alex King, and he'll be a junior at Walker Valley this year. And he just started track. He used to be soccer, but he started track this past year, and he did pretty well. He's more my sprinter, and Ethan's more distance. But so it's just the four of us, and we've been down. Nathan was down here before I was, but we've lived here the whole time we've been married. So really? I love it.
Yeah. What part of Ohio were y'all from? He didn't tell me that.
Mansfield, Ohio. I'm kind of like an hour north of Columbus. And then he was originally from Willard, Ohio, which is a small town up a little further from me. So his sister actually introduced us. Oh, and so I met him, and I knew pretty quick that I was going to marry him. Took him a little bit more time. But so we
finally
met.
Convinced him.
We met Christmas Eve of 1999, and then we got married in 2000. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, it sounds like y'all had a great life together. Have the same passions, like passions about a lot of things. But Nathan told me that your jump into the fitness world wasn't as hard as quick as his.
no, I always had been. I'm short, so I'm 5'3", and both my parents were short people. You know, my dad, I think he was maybe 5'8", and my mom's like 5'2", and so my dad, you know, built wise, was pretty thick for a shorter guy, and then you know, my mom was a little more petite, but she was a muscular. She just got muscle. You know, she got good calves, good legs. You know, my grandma would always say we had Tina Turner legs. So I didn't know what that meant until I got a little older. But so I was always afraid that I was going to be bigger, you know, because that's what most people thought at that time. You know, you start lifting weights, I'm going to get big, because I was never really a small looking girl. And or a small built girl. And so I didn't really ever lift. I cheered and ran and rollerbladed, and that I was active. But I had saw an article in 2010 about a girl. I was up in Ohio visiting my family with the boys, and I saw an article about a girl that was 33, and she had 4 girls, and she was going to be competing in the Arnold Classic in bikini. That was first year they had that. And but what really caught my eye is they had a picture of her, and she was pretty muscular, but she was 105 pounds. And I was like, okay, she doesn't look 105, because that's really, really little. But she just looked really good. So I had called Nathan, and of course, since we've been married, he had tried to get me to do that. And I was like, no, I'm good, you know. And I liked doing my classes, and so I was a group fitness person. I liked doing that stuff. And so I told him, I said, all right, I said, I'm going to give you a month. If I'm going to try this for 1 month, and that was it, and see how I like it. And then we'll go month to month. And so I came back home and started at the 1st of March. He helped me with my food. And, you know, I was so new at working out that I would take pictures when I was in the gym by myself. I know that they even said the weight on the side, but I would sit there and be like, is this good weight? You know, like I would send him pictures. I'm like, am I getting strong enough? You know, and he's like, no, that's good. You know, or he's like, no, you probably need to go up. But very, very new to all that stuff. And, but he helped me along the way. And then I competed that year in Chattanooga at the Battle at the River. It was my first show in June.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was the hardest thing I had ever done in my life, right up there. But it was one of the most rewarding things. I had a lot of, I didn't realize how much I liked food, or how much food kind of had a hold on me, you know, until it was like, oh, you can have that, but you can only have this much of it. It's like, wait, what? And then I competed for another 4 years. So I really liked it.
Yeah. Was it ever your goal to get a pro card or anything like that? Or
it's one of those things that it's very hard. I mean, you realize when you're in it, you're like, oh yeah, I want my pro card. But I had to kind of almost be realistic, because I was 30 when I started. Yeah. And a lot of these girls that were in it, that I was competing with, didn't have kids. You know, they were young. I mean, they're mid 20s, you know? And so, yeah, I would have liked to. It would have been really cool, you know, because I thought about it, but it wasn't something that I had to have. Yeah. When I actually got my pro card, I was on stage, and they we were up in New Jersey. It was at the NPC national show was called Team Universe, and it was in New Jersey. And so it was just Nathan and I, and he was actually looking at the pictures through the camera when they call us up on stage and stuff. He's just looking down at the pictures that he had just taken. And I'm standing off to the side, and they called my number. I didn't realize it was me. They called it again. They called it a third time. And I was like, wait, that's me. And so, we were all like, and because they call us all out in the top 3. And I was like, I got off the stage and I was like, did that just happen? Because it was, I wasn't expecting it, because I've raced decent going to national shows, but I was, it was either I was too big here, my legs were too big, or my back was too small, or I needed more shoulders, or, it was, you go to one show and do this, change that, and then you go to the other show and it was flipped. So it was one of those dreams that was very unattainable looking at it. So when it happened, I was very surprised and very happy for my husband, because I think he wanted it more than I did. But it was, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, when you walked on that stage, I bet they knew who your husband was that day. He was probably cheering.
He was probably the only one going, "Whoa!" Yeah. That's my wife. Half that trophy's mine.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I guess your trophy's one of the ones on display there too, because I know there's a lot of trophies there in the Grit House gym. Yeah,
and what's funny is my Pro Card trophy is the smallest one,
but
it's
really?
The most important. Yeah, and it's clear, so you can't really see it, So it's like that one right there. That's the most important.
I set up a light to shine on that one. This one,
yeah.
So how many years were you into your journey, the bodybuilding journey, when you got your Pro Card?
2.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's not common.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's great.
I had always competed in figure, and it was, my legs were too big, or I needed bigger back to kind of balance me out. And then in 2012, they came out with a new division called Women's Physique. Okay. And it was, at that time, girls were supposed to be like, they said 20% bigger than figure girls. And so I was like, well, that's me, because it was very hard for me to shrink or to lose muscle. Yeah. And because I can develop pretty quick, but it's hard for me to get smaller. And so it was a good category for me to fit into at that time. And it's changed a little bit since then. So I probably wouldn't be able to hang in that division anymore if I would compete again. But I think that was just, I think it was, honestly, I became closer with God. So it was kind of like a spiritual journey when I would compete, because I focused a lot. Like there was times when I would be like, God, I need you to help me get through this hour to not eat what I'm not supposed to eat, like it would, or running, I said, I like food. So I would pray a lot when I would run. I would listen to like Natalie Grant or Carrie Job, and so while I was going through that situation and hoping that I would get stronger and stuff, and so God, I really think helped me in that journey a lot.
Yeah, well, and plus the prep is grueling, isn't it? From what I've been told, it's grueling.
It's just a mental. It's keeping your head straight.
I was interviewing another couple, and she's a bodybuilder, and he's a gym bro, and she's a bodybuilder. They own their own gym in East Ridge, and you probably know them. But I was interviewing them, and he said, yeah, when she's on the prep, so we hang signs up saying beware of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It was so fun hearing them talk about it. But
I typically only lose myself with my family. I just get short times.
Right.
It's almost like, what do you want? But I can typically be cordial around other people, and I don't share food. That was, my kids learned really fast. They're like, what do you have? I'm not sharing my food. This is all I get. It's all measured out.
Yeah. Get your own.
Yes.
Domino's
I will make you mac and
delivers.
cheese. Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to talk about the flow. It's obviously on the behind your back on the wall there. It says the flow and the beautiful logo. I love whoever designed that for you. And talk to us about how y'all decided to open the flow and what the reasoning behind it was, and kind of who you're targeting. Just tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, we were kind of wanting to. We wanted a different demographic, basically, because the Grid House, there's a lot of people, when I tell them, that we own it, they're like, oh, yeah, I know that place. That's kind of, that's where the serious gym goers go. And I'm like, yeah, but it when you walk in, it seems scary, but but I think that's some of the social media presence that we have.
Yeah.
Because when you come in, it's like a family. So, and most of our members over there, they show up. And I think that's what is different with our gym, even though if they have a membership, they use it.
Really?
And I think we have a very high retention rate over there.
That's great.
Most people and that's why we have to keep a cap on it, because we'll get too busy, too crowded.
Yeah.
So the flow, we wanted to make something pretty. It's not just a women's only facility, but it's geared more towards women. Primarily with the bungee, it's just a fun way of working out that you don't feel like you're working out, and you're able to get a little bit more mobility with your body and stuff. But we also have other classes, and then of course you interviewed Tanya, and she's just fabulous. I love her. And and then we have Millie and Danny, two other teachers for us, and Danny does dance that we have, and then Millie also teaches bungee as well, and they're both wonderful. We have a good group of women here. But so we wanted to have a safe place that women could come to, have fun, work out, and leave, feel better about themselves. But it's supposed to be like a happy environment. When they come in, I want them to come in and feel like they are appreciated. I am glad that you are here at my place, that you're going to be working out. Because women, especially nowadays, it's almost like they come in and their glass is like less than half full. And so that is something I love to do, is pour in to women, compliment them or make them feel better about themselves, encourage them, lift them up. So then when they leave better they came in. And so that's kind of the purpose of it, is to, whatever they feel about themselves, that's not who they are when they're here. They may think, oh, well, I can't do this. I don't care if you can. We will get you to where you can try. We will build you up, and you may not be able to do it today, but you might be able to do it in 4 weeks, and just slowly help improve them. But it is more of, I wanted it to be a loving place that women come to, that when they did leave, that they felt better than when they came in.
Well, and I appreciate the fact that you said it's not a women's only, because,
right.
When I interviewed Nate, he was actually in the room where you're at when we did the interview. And so he mentioned bungee right toward the end. When we were wrapping up, he said, Scott, come on up and I'll put you on the bungee.
Yeah.
And so just as we were wrapping up, So when we went off camera, I said, "What in the world's a bungee?" And so, he turned the camera so I could see it. Obviously, nobody else could see it. And he showed me, what a bungee looked like. And so when he did, he invited me to come up and do it. Well, I haven't got the opportunity to do that yet, or haven't taken the opportunity. But then when I interviewed Tanya the other day, she was kind of insistent on me that I take her, come try one of her stretch classes. And when I say insistent, she kept texting me and reminded me, that, hey, it's coming up.
That sounds like her.
Yeah. So I was headed up there anyway. So I thought, well, I'll just go do it on Monday. And so I had a reason to be out that direction. And I thought, I'm going to go do it. And I went over there, and I was the only guy there. But I did the 12 o'clock class. There was only on that particular day, there's only two people there, me and another lady and Tanya.
Yeah.
But the thing I noticed, it was, even though I was a guy, I was very comfortable. I didn't feel intimidated. I was very comfortable. Now I'm going to be honest, Tanya, the class she put me through, she told me after the class was over, it was the advanced class. And here I was, my first time. So I'll admit I hurt for 2 days after that. It was a good kind of hurt. All right. It was a good hurt. But it let me know that, even I need to move a little more. It's what it let me know. I need to have a little bit more movement than I'm having. And which is a good thing. It's a good reminder. But as a guy, I just wanted to speak that to other men. If you're not the type of guy that likes going in the hardcore gym where other guys are, slinging weights, but you need something, I invite you to go check it out, because I felt very comfortable there. And I saw the bungee, and I saw some of the things y'all put on social media about the bungee. I didn't actually see anybody do it firsthand, but it looks fun. And I know Tanya talked about it, and she said, I asked her, did she lead the class? She said, there's no way I can. So I laughed hilariously the whole time I'm doing it. Said I could not lead the class because I'm laughing the whole time, having so much fun doing it. So what I'd like for you to do for a moment, if you would, Dawniel, just kind of picture in your mind that people are out there listening to this podcast, but they can't see the bungee, and kind of describe it to them. Describe the experience.
Well, I will say my class, if you search it on the internet, usually you'll find, and so you'll find them flying a lot, mid through the air, or doing a bunch of like pretty things, and we're not that graceful. That is very choreographed.
That's for a commercial, right?
Yes, I was going to say, and some of them are just, well, they must be a little more balance friendly than I am. And so, so if you would kind of almost think of it as, I think I said this earlier, it assists you holding your body weight up. So it's based on weight, with which bungee you get. And so it will give you an assisted pull up or assisted dip type feel when you're doing it. It doesn't hold you completely up. You have to force yourself down. So my kids had jumperoos. It's like a walker, but it was like a bungee thing. So my kids jumped in that. But another way to explain it is like those like the doorway jumpy things that your kids would hang in. Like I had one when I was a kid. That's the idea about it. So it like helps hold you up, and you have to like use your legs to bring you down. And
because
so
you're strapped in. You're strapped in, right? It's not, you're not just hanging onto a cord by your hand. You're actually strapped into around your waist, right?
Yeah. I always like when they put the harness on, which is kind of like if you're going rock climbing or zip lining, because I've had some of those types of girls come in, or guys. So the harness is kind of like that, and then we hook you to the bungee hook, and then I have them like sit like they're going to sit in a chair, and then that's the first feeling that they get to see, and I want it to hold you up to where you look like you actually sit in a chair just hanging in the air. And if it holds you up, about chair level, then we know we're good. So, so that's kind of what we do. But we will move forward and back with the bungee to make it easier if we're sitting back or if we're going forward. We'll do jumping jacks in it. So we lean forward a little bit in the jumping jacks. So it takes off, I would say probably 20-30% off of your lower body to do things. So it takes a little bit of that weight off. People can run in them because we'll lean forward and run a little bit because and then some of the girls that will come in and do maybe Tanya's class or Danny's or Millie's, that we don't do bungee. They'll do one of the other classes. They're like, yeah, the jumping jacks were not as fun. So we'll do high knees and things in that. But we'd also do fun jumps. So we'll do like a Mario jump, and it sounds exactly like it means. It's like one leg up, one leg down, and it's, whee, and then squats or pop squats. It's just really, you can do things that you probably cannot do on the ground without help much easier in the bungee. And that's what I think. That's what makes it fun, because you can move your body in ways that you typically can't do because you might hurt something or, tear something or whatever. But yeah, it helps you be able to move better.
You had told me earlier that before we started recording that you can modify it. So can you help somebody that comes in and maybe, they can't do standard exercise because of maybe arthritis problems or hip issues or maybe joints in their knees or ankles or something? Can you help modify it so that they're able to enjoy more movement with maybe less pain?
Yeah. So sometimes it's just like new people, when they come into a class, if they're not full up to speed, especially if I have a combination of people in different levels in my class. So I will have some that will be doing high knees. And so if you can't do high knees, then you do your feet almost, if you kind of think of how you would do like a jump rope. So I would just have them just barely pick their feet up off the ground or just side to side. So they're still moving, but it's a very, very more low impact. If they feel like that's too easy, then they can just do a, light jog to the side. Same thing with pop squats. So I have several people that can't do the amount of pop squats that I'll do sometimes. So I'll just have them do standard squats. So I can pretty much modify anything that I do in class because I've had so many variations of people do it. And then I look to see who is coming to my class to see if they're new or if I do have an advance. So sometimes I'll tell the advanced people, I'm going to have you do these. And then my new ones will do this. So yeah, it's very customized. I kind of take that into account, even because we'll do a section with weights, slow weight or low weights, 2, 3, 5, 8, whatever, the person wants to use. Yeah. And so I'll try to do a little bit, more of an easier exercise, or we'll do, maybe less reps than I would in a more of an advanced class. But yeah, I can modify pretty quickly on the class. And I express that when I'm at the beginning. If there's anyone that's like, okay, I can't do that, I do not mind to be interrupted like that, where it's like, is there something else I can do? So I've done that a lot.
Yeah, that's great. What about if somebody has issues with the Parkinson's or MS type issues? Do you see any benefit in that for people like that? Is there any kind of health benefit?
I haven't had anybody in my class that has had that. to kind of almost see
Okay.
the
I didn't know if there was
results.
research or anything. I didn't know,
I haven't seen any research on that. That's something interesting because that would be very interesting to see what it would do to their body if it would help them, because because the mobility,
exactly. Balance issues and mobility. Yeah.
Because it does hold you up, because there's, my more advanced people will do handstands, and handstand push-ups with them. So the balance is definitely there because, you're attached to the ceiling, but so it helps in other forms of balance. But that's that's something I'll have to look into.
Yeah, because I've talked to a couple of gyms that have programs for people with Parkinson's, but it's like a boxing type programs where it's giving them that movement, and different things. And when you was talking about the bungee, that's what hit my mind. I thought, that seems like that might be something that would be beneficial, for them. Maybe if there's people that need that help in the mobility, the balance, just or nothing else, just giving them a little freedom to feel like they're still living, a life, a normal life, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it might be something you could consider, anyway. But I didn't mean
that's
to
a really
wrench at you.
interesting point. Yeah, I had never thought about that. That's a really interesting point because I could see the benefits of it, but because it helps people. It helps a lot. And that's the one thing I do like is women are like, I can't do a regular, class, but this one you can, because it can work you. I'll push you if you want to be pushed.
Well, the great thing about it is, how long have you been, has the flow been open? We
opened, March of last year. So we've been open about 18 months now.
Close to a year and a half. Yeah. So in that period of time, I'm sure you have a lot of people that are repeat. I know the lady that I was in the class with the other day said she'd been coming for quite some time.
She's one of our first members.
Okay.
So
I know she spoke highly of her. And she didn't seem to be having any problem doing some of those movements I was grunting over there. So Tanya said something about I hear y'all. I hear some heavy breathing going on. I said that ain't breathing, that's gasping. I said that's gasping. I'm gasping over here.
I'm preparing myself for the next move.
But so I guess you've heard a lot of good results over that year and a half where people have been coming.
Yeah, I love when people review us, and because it's most people like compliments. So it's usually compliments. But I do it. And they have fun. They laugh. They smile. When we're doing it. And I don't know. I just go back. I want them to have a good time. And I have a couple girls in my class, and the one in particular, she's told me before, she goes, sometimes I'm tired, and I'm like, because she works nights and she doesn't want to come in sometimes. But then when she comes in, and she's like, I'm so glad when I leave. And I'm like, that's a huge compliment where it's I came in, my day turned around, so, but
awesome. The group setting too. I mean, there's something to being part of a group, and you're getting in there and you're looking around and you're saying, hey, I'm not the only one that can't do what the athletic people can do. I'm new. And you look around, there's a group of people, but there are also those people that are doing maybe performing a little better than you, and it gives you something to aspire to. Hey, I want to get to that level. I want to get to where I can do that move. So. Yeah,
because it's funny too, because some people will sit there and they'll want to, they're like, man, she's killing it. But then you've got somebody on the other side and they're like, man, she's killing it. So they're thinking it about the other person. But then that person's like, I'm dying. but yeah, it's.
That's funny. Oh, Well, I love talking about the bungee and everything, but at the same time, you did mention some other things you do there, and I don't want to take away from any of that. So you mentioned that one of your girls does a dance class. Can you kind of
Yes.
give us some detail about that?
Yeah. Danny, she actually is a dance teacher. She's taught,
Okay.
oh gosh, she doesn't look as old as she is. So I want to say, I think she's taught almost 20 years.
Okay.
Maybe 15 to 20 years. So she teaches, she teaches on Friday mornings, and so she teaches just dance fitness, and they move around. So they'll do some dance stuff, little repetitious dances, and then and then sometimes she'll do some jumping jacks and other types of moves, that kind of thing. But so we have her on Fridays. And then I have another teacher. Her name is Millie Houston. And so she teaches bungee on Thursday nights, and then sometimes on Saturdays for me. And she's lovely too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't want to take away from any of those other classes because they're just as important to the people that, enjoy that type of fitness. Of course, the word Zumba, that's been broadcast everywhere, but that's kind of a dance fitness system. But is it that similar style that did you say her name's Millie? Is that what you said?
My dance girl is can you pause it a second? Sorry.
So before we wrap up, Dawniel, when I walked in the Grit House the other day, I saw this sign where it was shown that you were on some kind of a local Dancing with the Stars event.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
That was so much fun. So one of my clients, and she's also a Flow member, Kelly Morgan. She is on the, I think you call it the board for the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
So she's part of that. And so that's a fundraiser that she helps put on. So she had, I think she maybe had lost a dancer or something like that. And so she was in class, and she was like, hey, she goes, would you be interested in doing something like this? And I was like, yes. I'm like, this is right up my alley. And so she was like, she's like, oh, you'd be great. And so she was like, she said, it's a fundraiser and all that kind of stuff. Now, I am not very good about asking people for money, but for the Boys and Girls Club, I told her, I said, I will do it. And so I signed up and got a dancing partner. His name was Cade, and him and his mom and another girl would come, and we would all work on the routine and stuff together. They did a fabulous job with my routine, and his mom helped me with my costume, and I even got a costume off of Amazon, and then she put stuff on it for me for free, and
wow.
They were lovely. Yeah. And I had so much fun doing that. That was, if there is anybody that is listening that would like to be, if you are good at raising money and you don't mind getting up there dancing for kids with a professional partner, I would highly suggest that you do this because, it is, she raised, I think she raised over $100,000 this past year doing that. But it was they hadn't made that much before, and it was so much fun just getting dressed up, and because they had judges and all that kind of stuff. They would give you that was a 10, and but
so was it locally? Was it performed locally? Okay.
They had it at the country club here in town.
Yeah.
And so it was May 4th this past year, or this this past May, and so they sold tickets.
I didn't know about it. Wow.
It sold out, but that was really, really fun. Kelly did an amazing job with that production.
Yeah,
it was done very, very professional.
That's awesome. But Dawniel, I know we probably need to wrap up and let you get back to work and everything. But I always like to ask this question if I have the opportunity. If there was one thing that you wish our listeners knew about the flow, but they probably wouldn't know unless you shared it with them, and you'd like to just state it loud and proud here today on the Good Neighbor podcast, what would that be?
Well, now you're gonna make okay, because I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
It's all right.
I love people.
Passion flow.
Yeah, I have the flow. Let my tears flow. I love people. I love making people smile. I like trying to improve their day. And so if anything, if you walk in here, I am genuinely very happy that you have come and to be a part of our area, our little flow building here, and our classes. But I hope that I can make their day better. So I want them to know that when they come here, they are loved. And I'm genuinely happy that they came. So everybody, life is so hard nowadays, and everybody is struggling over something, or they have, something that they're always dealing with. So when they are here, I want them to feel safe and loved, and that this is a good place to be. And I hope that they feel that way. Yeah, so I genuinely mean that.
Well, you weren't there the other day when I came and did the stretch class with Tanya, but I can tell that is the atmosphere there.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, I can tell that's the atmosphere because, not too many places you go, you can go take a class and have a coach there too, helping you modify and helping you do all the things you do. Hey, before we wind up the program, Dawniel, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share any information that you've got where people could either maybe find out more about you or could get in touch with you, whether it's online or offline.
Okay. We are The Flow on Instagram and Facebook. And then if you want to go directly to our page is where how you can sign up for classes online. You can go to thegrithouse.com/theflow. You can also just Google search The Flow and it'll come up. And then you can click there and find our schedule and stuff. The first class is free that you come to, whichever you choose. If it's bungee or if it's sculpt and tone, first class is free. And then you can see all of our memberships there. And if you want to do a drop-in class, it's $18 a class. If you want to do 4 classes a month, it's $50. And we have unlimited for $75 a month. No contracts.
No contracts. There you go. That's important to a lot of people. I know.
Yeah.
and just so people can have a complete picture. Do y'all have like a price where somebody could be members of both gyms?
Oh yeah, we do. It's $100 for both the gym, the Grit House, and the Flow, and $100 a month, and then and that the classes are unlimited for here at the Flow. So that it's not, you don't have just a certain amount. So unlimited at both places, basically.
And I was telling Tanya the other day after I did her stretch class, honestly, that was really an awesome class to do before you go work out, because they teach us to stretch before we lift weights and put that strain on our body. And that stretch class was actually a good precursor to going over and picking up some dumbbells and barbell and working out. So
get y'all warmed up.
I can see how it can all fit together. You go over there, and get on the bungee and get all loosey goosey, and then go over there and lift some weights, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. But either way, it's a lot of fun, and it's a wonderful place in Cleveland to go and enjoy fitness and enjoy being able to. You're good company too. Again, I like the class, but also Dawniel, I want to ask another question. I haven't asked you this up front, so I don't know the answer. But do you offer personal training?
Yeah, I do personal training. You can either find me on social media. I'm just Dawniel King, or you can call up at the gym, or we have our email for the Grit House is thegrithouse@gmail.com. And so, yeah, I just started back. I had to take a little bit of a break off because my boys couldn't drive. So now they are of driving age and they can get around, and my schedule is a lot more flexible. So awesome. I'm able to take on clients again. So I just actually started about 2 or 3 months ago.
Okay. So the way I understand it, the personal training, you offer it, you take on clients for yourself. Nathan does as well, right? Yep.
We both do. And then we have some other trainers that independently train out of the gym. And so if you come in and you're like, I'm looking for a personal trainer, these are the kind of things I'm looking for. We've got a few to pick from and different specialties. Tanya is one of those that does personal training. We have another gentleman, Dan Arena. He's excellent. He works, he does a little bit of teaching at Lee. But he's exceptional with powerlifting and form, that kind of stuff. So everybody's kind of got their own specialty over there. So, and then Nathan, of course, his is a lot of bodybuilding, or just normal people. Right. I usually have the moms, yeah.
Now, do you also train men? If somebody said, I think I'd like for Dawniel to train me, or do you just do exclusively?
Yeah, I have a couple right now that I train together. So it's a boyfriend, girlfriend. And so, but I've done that with train husbands and wives together or separately. So I can do both.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's great to know. To the listeners out there, if you've never been by their gym, go check it out. Go by there when they're having a class at the Flow, and check it out, and then go over there and if you're not comfortable enough to actually try the class, go watch and see how great it is, and then you probably will want to go back and try the free class, and then while you're over there, go over there to Grit House, say hi to Nathan, and check out the facility. It's a wonderful place. I really enjoyed being there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And
family.
Dawniel, family. Exactly. Yeah. And Dawniel, thank you for your time and for being on the program today, because you've been a wealth of information, and congratulations to you on your journey. It's wonderful to hear your story and how you came about being where you're at today, and congratulations on all that you accomplished.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, our pleasure. And to all the good neighbors out there in the greater Chattanooga area, after listening to Dawniel's story and tell about all she offers, and you can hear the excitement and the passion in her voice when she talks about the Flow and all they do. And they created they didn't have to create the Flow. They had a successful gym, but they created this for a place that maybe people aren't so hardcore. You kind of intimidated the gym, and you can go and enjoy yourself and take some classes and still have that movement. We all need to be moving. If you haven't watched Tanya's video, watch it, because she talks a lot about movement, how necessary it is to just move. And so go try the classes, try them out, try the gym out. You'll probably be pleasantly surprised. And I'd like to thank all you listeners today for taking time out of your busy schedule, of course, to be with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. And always remember to support the locally owned and operated businesses in your area and all across the Chattanooga region. This is Scott Howell of the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.